Hey everyone, it's True Review! Right here, once more, with another top 10 list. Now, if you're like me and played more games than you've had hot dinners and still haven't covered nearly enough of them, then you'll have naturally picked up on some great one-liners from the many upon many video game characters over the years. But sometimes characters will say something that either doesn't make sense or is completely and utterly stupid when you stop to think about them. So with that in mind, here are the top 10 times characters said something stupid. Now, before we kick off, I want to make you aware that this is a certain kind of stupid. We're not talking ridiculous or funny stupid, but times when any character has either said something, ordered you to do something, or decided upon something which, when you stop to think about it, is probably the worst thing to do, but was meant to be taken seriously. But enough said, so let's get this video rolling. Hit it! Deus Ex! Okay, so sure, you can't blame him for taking an interest when two girls start hitting on him outside of a club, but come on, mate. You've got two girls sitting outside of a club and right next to the entrance, no less. Think for a moment. Why are they not inside already? It's the oldest trick in the book. They can't afford to get in, and they're waiting for a gullible guy to come along, chat him up for a bit, convince him to pay for their entrance, and then fuck off the second they're inside. Which they do. And even if they did stick around, they're gonna ask for drinks as well, because if they can't afford the entry fee, then they can't afford drinks either. But no, JC Denton hasn't figured any of this out and opts for saying the most stupidest thing I can think of in this game. Sure. I mean, a bomb and what a shame were just funny, but this is just stupid of him. The letter!
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City. Baggers, watch out, can't beat me. Looking for trouble? Better not lie. I'm a cool dude, pretty fly for an Asian guy.
Ah! Yeah, I get that this is supposed to be taken as him being a tad silly. You're not supposed to take it seriously as the player, but Ash did record this ringtone himself and knew full well that anyone and his wife would hear that regardless of where he goes. If this ringtone was recorded for the sole purpose of being used around his friends for a laugh, then fine, I'll accept that. Except it wasn't! That shit goes off in the police station too. And no one ever stops to say, Ash, what the fuck, mate? Now, I don't usually find myself saying things like this, but Ash, you're about as white as they come. Ah! GTA 4! For any of you lonely hearts out there, I've got some advice for you. Next time you go on a date, if your partner starts asking you whether or not you're involved in criminal activity, and then asks you to speak loudly and close to their chest, then I'm afraid to say that you're dating an undercover cop and you may be at the centre of a criminal investigation. Having said that, unfortunately for him or her, your date is also the worst undercover cop there is. Enter Michelle! Michelle has evidence that Nico's wrapped up in nefarious affairs and is dating him as an excuse to get close to him and to get him to spill the beans. Well, surprise on her, of course he wasn't going to say anything, leading her along all the time and letting him sleep with her. And even when she does her grand reveal and fucks off back to her office, nothing changes. She doesn't get much out of him. So all those times she spent asking him unrelated and suspicious questions regarding his potential criminal involvement was both a waste of time and incredibly stupid of her to do. Oblivion! I know I've talked about Count Indaris before in the past, but it needs to be said again, but Jesus Christ, dude! What more must a hero of Kvatch do to win you over? Now, I get that a respective Count or Earl will only want someone who is a citizen of standing respect to own property in his lands, but I closed an Oblivion gate for you, effectively saving your entire town, and I also rescued your only son from death, who you yourself have admitted can be a handful at the best of times. So why is it that you're willing enough to present me with a precious family heirloom from your own bloodline, but you don't trust me enough to sell me property? I can't imagine what I'd have to do to earn that trust in Shadenhall. Well, to be fair, all it takes with this guy is a little bit of bribery. What an honest and respectable thing to do. Please, take this house. Take this gold. And while you're at it, fuck my wife.
Take me down, 6 underground.
Bioshock! The ownership of the sweat of one's brow was a big issue back in the late 19th and early 20th century, but while Washington believes it belongs to the poor, the Vatican believes it belongs to God, and Moscow believes that in Soviet Russia it belongs to everyone, I'd argue that the sweat of one's brow belonging purely to its owner would entail that no society at all would be able to function, because if you're saying that we get to keep 100% of what we earn, then I hate to tell you, buddy, but society would collapse. Unless you're part of some sort of isolated mountain tribe, a society cannot function, or at the very least, provide basic infrastructures without taxation. And if you're gonna build a city at the bottom of the ocean, Andrew Ryan, then that shit needs a lot, and I mean a lot, of maintenance. So who's gonna pay for all that, huh? Since it's your city, you gonna fit the bill for all this out of your own pocket? And if you're going to build a city, you're probably going to have to be quite knowledgeable on how to both build and manage it, because the sweat of your brow shit isn't going to cut it here. Having said that, this guy literally built a city at the bottom of the ocean, so I wouldn't hold my breath on that. Did you see what I just did there?
Mambo number 5.
Half-Life 2! This is another occasion where I haven't been able to find anyone else who shares this opinion, but did anyone else think it was a stupid idea to use that teleporter near the start of Half-Life 2? The Combine, or at the very least, their human collaborators, know that any situation plus Gordon equals destruction. So for the Resistance, keeping Gordon's presence hidden is a must. And we need to get Gordon out of City 17 and over to Eli. So now we have two options. Either send him by foot, which is incredibly risky as there's a high chance he'll get found out or maybe even killed, or, as Dr. Kleiner goes with, just chuck him in the teleporter and zap him there. Which is also incredibly risky because those things are known to malfunction and who knows where Gordon might turn up. What if he ended up in Dr. Breen's office? Well, wouldn't the safer option be to go on foot? The Resistance will be more than happy to help along the way. No, okay, then we're going with the teleporter. And surprise bloody surprise, where do we end up? Dr. Breen's office. The element of surprise goes straight out the window, and the Combine is on high alert from the get-go. See what I mean? Would have made a lot more sense to have just gone by foot, but no. Chaos Child! A hypothetical for you. You are the head of an unlicensed, underage investigation team that's looking into a series of bizarre deaths, or possibly murders, that's connected to some kind of reality-bending conspiracy. I know, don't think too hard on it. You've got a tip that another one might have gone down, and you happen to be the first on the scene. The police and their investigators are on their way, but you're the first ones there. So tell me, if you came to a hotel room and you knew that there was a very good chance that there was a cold human body just chilling behind the door, would you then think to break in and spread your DNA all over the room, and not in the sexual way before any of you out there suggest that was what I was implying? Because Taku does exactly that in the Revolving Dead case. Now, this is a novel that I've been reading recently, and like with the first one, I'm not big on it. But I just couldn't accept that scene, because you know the police are right behind you, so why contaminate the crime scene further by adding your own DNA to it and potentially making yourself a suspect? At the very least, wait until the police are done, or hell, if you really must, then just barge in while they're in there. But not before, because otherwise you're just going to get taken in and questioned and give yourself a whole load of hassle, and that's exactly what happened, wasn't it, Taku? So his decision to go in there is what grants him this entry. Final Fantasy XIV! As much as I love this game, there have been several moments that made me raise my eyebrow in confusion, and this particular time made that eyebrow almost come flying off my face. It's not uncommon to go through a big ordeal, only for someone to turn around to another NPC and congratulate them on saving the day, while you're standing there like, dude, what the fuck? I was the one who did all the work. And characters are more than happy to plan a stratagem involving the whole cast flanking an area while you YOLO it from the front. But none more so did I question what was being said than Sir Aymric's famous command after defeating the dragon Nidhogg during the Heaven's Ward expansion. So you're right at the end of the Dragon Song War, and you've defeated the most powerful dragon in existence. You've ripped out both of its eyes, which is the source of its power, and now you and Alphinold are standing there like, so, where should we put these so no man can find them? To which Aymric then shouts,
The eyes! Cast them into the abyss!
You what, mate? No, we throw them down there, anyone will be able to get them. It's a long way down, sure, but I'm sure that's no problem for the Ascians, or the Dudes of Darkness, as I call them. You might as well have shouted, The eyes! Just drop them anywhere! Or, The eyes! Sell them on the market board! The fact is that so long as there is a way of obtaining these bad boys, this war isn't over. And then the Dudes of Darkness get their hands on one later on, and my own eyes rolled into the back of my head. Well, I did tell you, Aymric. Don't you look silly now. Assassin's Creed 3! During times of war, each soldier has to expect that their commanding officer or general may ask them to go above and beyond the call of duty, to perform the extremest of tasks in order to bring about victory. But being asked to run across an active battlefield mid-fight and not take any damage is asking a bit much, isn't it, General Putnam? No? No, that's right, because he asks you to do it anyway. And then the game penalises you for taking damage. Well, Connor did it in real life, so why didn't you? Had Putnam asked us to sneak behind the fighting and behind enemy lines, well, isn't that more along the lines of what an assassin would do? But that's not good enough for him, and that's not the Enlightenment attitude, good sir. Now cross the open battlefield, and if I see you get shot once, then there's a court-martialing for you. There's being asked to go above and beyond the call of duty, and then there's being ordered to do something fucking stupid.
Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust.
Fallout 3! Speaking of stupid orders, Sarah Lyons, ladies and gentlemen! The last thing anyone asks you to do in the base version of Fallout 3 is kill yourself. Someone has to go into the radioactive chamber and fix the pump. That way everyone can have clean water. And it just so happens that both you and Sarah Lyons are standing there knowing this is to happen. And after full well knowing what is at stake, she suggests that you should do it. I know it's polite to let other people pass through a door before you, but I'm pretty sure it's considered rude if you know for a fact they'll die if they do so. This room will kill you if you go in there, and someone needs to do this. After you, Lone Wanderer. And for the record, I never go in there. Instead, I play her at her own game, because if she thinks she can get away with telling me to go in there, then I can get away with telling her to go in there in turn. It basically turns into a very polite discussion about convincing the other person to go kill themselves. And I think I've done enough for the wasteland, Sarah, so how about you start pulling your own weight for once? You can start by killing yourself. After you. And for that reason alone, Sarah Lyons makes it in at number 1 on this list. And this video is finished, but if you're trying to convince someone to, no, better not finish that sentence. So instead, you can like and sub, as always. There's also Twitter, where I announce which video will be out next and when, and there's also Patreon, where you can support this channel further if you so desire. But enough of that, I am done. But until the next video, see ya!
Sometimes I think this life is killing me.